U.S. forces have destroyed a fourth drug-smuggling vessel in international waters off the coast of Venezuela, killing 4 suspected narcoterrorists, Pentagon Secretary Pete Hegseth announced on October 3. The vessel was carrying a significant quantity of drugs destined for America to poison our people, he wrote, adding that U.S. intelligence had confirmed, beyond reasonable doubt, that the vessel contained illegal substances and that the people transporting them were operating along a known drug trafficking route. Footage released by Hegseth shows a speedboat being struck by an unspecified munition, after which it bursts into flames and drifts out to sea. The head of the U.S. military did not provide any further details about the identity of the alleged perpetrators or their organization. The strike occurred less than a day after President Donald Trump, in a statement to Congress, declared drug cartels terrorists and declared Washington now in a state of armed conflict with them, CBS News reports. In September, the U.S. military struck 3 other vessels in the Caribbean Sea that the U.S. administration accused of carrying drugs. With this latest attack, at least 3 of these operations were carried out against vessels arriving from Venezuela. In late August, Trump dispatched several warships to the southern Caribbean to conduct operations against drug cartels. According to Reuters, these included a guided missile cruiser, 3 destroyers, several landing ships, and a submarine. A total of 4,500 troops were deployed. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, for whom the U.S. has offered a $50 million reward, called the U.S. actions a hostile siege and appealed to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres to assist in upholding the country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. On September 16, the U.S. military sank the previous narco ship from Venezuela. The strike occurred while these confirmed Venezuelan narco-terrorists were in international waters, Trump announced. He reported that 3 terrorists were killed, and no U.S. military personnel were injured. Be careful, if you are transporting drugs that can kill Americans, we are hunting you. On the morning of September 2, U.S. forces struck a boat carrying suspected members of the Venezuelan group Tren de Aragua, which Trump claims operates in Maduro's interests and, in addition to drug trafficking, is responsible for sex trafficking and mass murder. 11 people died in the attack. Israeli forces intercepted on Friday the last boat from an international flotilla trying to break Israel's sea blockade of war-ravaged Gaza as cities around the world erupted into more protests against Israeli actions in Gaza and the arrests of some 450 activists who were on the boats. According to Associated Press, a far-right Israeli minister confronted the detained flotilla activists, mocking their aid initiative and accusing them of supporting terrorism, in a video circulating on Friday. The last boat, Marinette, had been trailing behind the rest of the vessels and was still sailing on to the Palestinian territory in the early hours of Friday, a day after the Israeli Navy stormed 41 other boats in the global Sumud flotilla and detained the activists, saying they would be deported. A live stream from the Marinette showed the moment Israeli troops boarded the vessel. The flotilla, which was carrying a symbolic amount of humanitarian aid to Gaza, was the largest attempt so far to try and break Israel's blockade of the Palestinian territory. Israel's interception started on Wednesday night and continued through Thursday as boat by boat was stopped off Gaza's shore and the activists, including Greta Thunberg, Nelson Mandela's grandson Mandla Mandela and several European lawmakers, were detained. Israeli authorities had warned the Marinette would be stopped too if it continued on its journey.
Should one here? Target the bow. Bow, his bow. The front. Ich hab manchmal das gelegt, der zuerst kommt. And told to go to the bow. Come on, guys. Podamos traer, queremos. Yeah, no, come. That's again. Everybody sit down, nobody move, hands up in the air. We're running on floor, nobody move. Hands in the air.
A real transport collapse is brewing at the border between Kazakhstan and Russia. Kazakhstan has blocked Chinese transit exports to Russia, meticulously checking all vehicles. Thousands of trucks carrying Chinese goods have now been stuck in traffic jams for weeks, and the situation is only getting worse. According to Kommersant, the problem is particularly acute for dual-use cargo and sanctioned items, electronics, microchips, drones, and their components. Such trucks are inspected in almost 99% of cases. Even Moscow's closest ally is hesitant to engage in gray schemes due to the risk of falling under secondary EU and US sanctions. In the first days of October, another factor was added: China closed most of its border crossings due to public holidays. This means that already paralyzed supplies will be further delayed. Experts note that Kazakhstan is increasingly controlling cargo flows, allowing legal cargo through while effectively blocking gray imports to Russia. Logisticians admit that a number of goods are now simply impossible to transport through Kazakhstan. These include microchips, machine tools, and other products that could be used in the Russian military-industrial complex. Some carriers, in a panic, are already rerouting cargo via other routes: China, Mongolia, and Russia. But this is longer, more expensive, and still carries the risk of inspections. 1. For the third month in a row, gigantic queues have been recorded at the border. 2. Goods for the Russian military industry are effectively blocked. 3. Russia is left without key imports, and the economy is suffocated by sanctions. Kazakhstan, Moscow's closest ally in the EAEU and CSTO, is suddenly becoming a filter through which Russia can't smuggle gray imports. The economic impact is enormous. Disruptions threaten to halt production, including in the defense industry. Kazakhstan previously signed a number of significant agreements with the United States. Observers aren't ruling out the possibility of tacit agreements behind these agreements. Against this backdrop, Donald Trump has declared his desire to end the war. And this despite the Kremlin continuing to claim that sanctions aren't working. But reality suggests otherwise. Russia is sinking deeper into isolation, and even its allies are starting to play by the West's rules, experts say.